It is I, the real Rinku Talks, from KR, here to give you a guide on Dark Knight. With Dark Knight about to release on Xbox, and after years of updates on PC, I think it's finally time to revisit the Dark Knight's pre-awakening skills. If you are playing on Xbox, everything should be the same, besides PC having an actual skill tree instead of how Xbox's skill tree is just a list. But they are the same skills. First, we're going to look at all our available skills at level 1 on this brand new character. Then, every time I level up and get a new skill, up to level 52, I will start recording and explain why. Before we start, I just want to mention that I'm going to be using skill terms like protection, CC, iframe, and filler. Skills can have different types of protection just like how skills can have different types of CC, or crowd control. An iframe is any skill in Black Desert that says invincible, and a filler skill is just a skill you can use while you wait for your heavy hitting skills to come off cooldown. I don't expect anyone just picking up the game to understand all that, but it's important to understand why skills are useful. This is what a level 1 with 0 skill points looks like. The very first skill we're going to look at is our basic left click attack, Kriegmesser Training, and now this upgrades automatically. But I hope you never actually just left click anything, and I really hope you never invest CP in the absolute version because there's really no need to. This is our most basic attack and exists just to exist. Next up we have Evasion. Now this was extremely important back in the day because of how the way our side dashes work, but now that we can just hold side dash and keep going, it's not super important that you lock this right away. This is really good for PvE because when you evasion roll in any direction, in PvE, you won't take any damage and you'll be completely invincible to everything. In PvP, it does exactly the opposite. It leaves you completely open, it's not an iframe, it doesn't really do anything in PvP, and it's very slow. So if you're trying to evade a real opponent and you would do this, not good. So for me, I'm gonna lock it. Here we have Scarring Slash. Now this is another one of those attacks that doesn't really do much damage, it's really slow and really easy to accidentally use. It can be used at low levels if you want to, but I wouldn't recommend using this at high levels, so once again I'm going to lock this right off the bat. Now we have Spirit Satiation, and basically this skill allows you to regain HP and MP without the need of potions. However, I believe it is always more efficient to use HP and MP potions because with the click of a button, you can instantly regain your HP and MP without having to use the skill, and the skill is kind of slow and you have to wait for it and you could get, I believe, CC'd out of it, so I'm going to lock it, but if you want to upgrade it and use it and save yourself some money on potions, go ahead. Next we have Sudden Attack. Sudden Attack can be useful at the start, so I'm going to leave it unlocked for now, but it's not worth upgrading and eventually I do lock it. Basically, it's a very fast attack that you can use from a sprint, but it doesn't do much damage, like at all, and it is unprotected. Also, it's really easy to use accidentally while sprinting. I use it when I know I can one-shot because it's fun sprinting around killing low-level mobs. This is our forward dash that we're given at level 1 called Smoky Haze. It is protected with super armor and even gives you a movement speed buff plus 5% for 5 seconds, making you faster to move around. It should be mentioned that movement abilities are among the highest priority because being able to move around is just one of the most beneficial things to be able to do. Upgrading this once also increases the movement speed buff by an additional 5%, increasing it to movement speed plus 10% for 5 seconds, and both upgrades give it additional distance, so the higher it is upgraded, the farther you'll be able to go. Now we're on Unveil Dagger, and this skill is very important. We were just talking about buffs, and this has one of the best buffs for Dark Knight. Attack speed plus 10% for 5 seconds. Just using the skill gives you the buff, and it's not uncommon for Dark Knights to use the skill out of combat, specifically for the buff. Attack speed is one of the most beneficial buffs a Dark Knight can utilize, allowing you to cast all your skills faster. In this case, 10% faster. The skill itself is a very fast jab that actually pushes you forward, so I also consider this a movement skill. Although unprotected, it does offer the CC of stiffness, so you could technically start a combo from the skill. Later in the game, it's usually only used out of combat or mid-combo to make the skill's following a lot faster. But at low levels, because it's so fast, it can actually be useful to use every 5 seconds as a quick filler for damage. On the bottom here, we have Darkness Burst. This skill doesn't really do a lot of damage, it's unprotected, and also only has a knockback. Personally, I would never use a skill, but if you find a use for it, let me know. Next we have Airstrike, and this skill is amazing. It is a movement skill that pushes you very far ahead, almost instantly, while invincible. Then after you come out of the shadows, you can get a float on good hits and or a bound on extra hits. The skill does have collision, but it's extremely useful for moving around in pre-awakening. Here we have Slanted Balance, a very fast, protected CC. You can use the skill to get a quick float on your target while protected with a forward guard. This is mostly a PvP skill and one of the best to start a combo with, so I'd only recommend upgrading it for PvP. However, if you are fighting a very tanky monster that's vulnerable to CC, you could use this skill to float them as well. The last skill we have available to us at level 1 is Ravage Rake. This skill has no CC, no protection, and doesn't do a lot of damage. While I wish the skill was useful, and maybe it is for these first few levels, past around level 30 we should have enough useful skills to where Ravage Rake becomes useless. So I'm not going to upgrade it, and eventually I will lock it. There are 2 more skills that never automatically unlock, and you never want to unlock them. At level 21 you can get Split Second, which can only be used while blocking. But it doesn't really do damage, it's unprotected, and only offers a stiffness. It's a PvP skill that most PvPers don't even use. Also, at level 35, you could get Imperious Command, which sounds cool in concept, but realistically it does very little damage. Imperious Command is probably the most useless skill in Dark Knight's pre-awakening, if I had to guess. Let's start leveling this Dark Knight to unlock the rest of our skills. I'm going to stick with the main storyline quest to level for the extra skill points, and the end result will be a complete level 52 build linked in the description below. At level 7, you automatically learn a new skill called Vetter's Dogma, a quick slottable buff that buffs the damage of 3 useless skills by 20%, making this also a useless skill. At level 8, if we had one more skill point, we could learn Hidden Strike. This is one of 3 skills that, at level 55, I would delete before leveling to 56, so that way, when I got my Awakening, I would have more skill points to spend on Awakening skills. Hidden Strike is unprotected but does offer a stun, and if you use it, I highly recommend locking it and using it as a quick slot, so that way you wouldn't need to cast Unveil Dagger first. You could use it whenever, you could use Unveil Dagger whenever, and they wouldn't be locked together. Oh, and all these skills at the bottom are actually permanent passive buffs, giving you accuracy, magic AP, tons of HP, and monster AP. So, although we want our skills first, after level 50-ish, you definitely want all of these completely maxed out. They really do help. For right now though, it's okay that we don't even have level 1 because I'm gonna get that Hidden Strike. There it is, Hidden Strike. I'm going to keep the skill unlocked for now so I can spam F and deal some quick damage. At level 9, you automatically unlock Dark Shadow, which is quite literally your block. It's called a Q block on PC because you press Q to activate it, and upon activating it, you actually get an all DP plus 12 buff for 10 seconds, which is pretty awesome. It should go without saying, but blocking is very useful. Oh. If you're ever walking backwards and you're about to take frontal damage, your block will instantly go up, and that's called an S block, because on PC, you hold S to go backwards. But basically, you just have to be walking backwards and about to take frontal damage. And yeah, it instantly goes up. At level 10, you could learn Shadow Bullet for 5 skill points, which is a quick stiffen, although unprotected, but in my opinion, its only use is in PvP, and even then, I rarely use it. At level 22, there's also a jumping version that also stiffens with a separate cooldown, but because you have to jump, it leaves you a lot more vulnerable. I would only get Shadow Bullet if I was about to PvP, and the main reason why people have it in their skill build is for their bomb skill later on. Oh, and yes, the jumping version is invincible when you disappear, but when you first jump into the air, they could definitely CC you out of that because you're not invincible yet. Yes, at level 12, we finally get our first side dash, Dusk. Off cooldown, you are invincible when the character disappears and you regain some MP. Now, on cooldown, although you don't regain NP nor are you invincible, you can continue to side dash for even less stamina. Chain Dusk at level 42 is basically our second side dash that activates after Dusk. While Chain Dusk gives slightly less MP and has a longer cooldown, it works the same as Dusk, giving us a second iframe, back-to-back iframes. At level 14, we get the best filler move, Pervasive Darkness. This skill can be used after almost any attack even when it's on cooldown, and off cooldown it's protected with a forward guard. Most importantly, off cooldown only, this gives your target a -10 all DP debuff for 10 seconds, which affects everyone who hits your target. At level 15, Repeated Annihilation is automatically unlocked. However, this is another useless skill that doesn't really do much of anything, so I'm going to lock it right away. Also at level 15, we can upgrade Unveil Dagger. At level 19, we automatically unlock Lucius Snare. This is an invisible trap that you set on the ground. When stepped on, or after 15 seconds, it explodes and has a stun. This skill's only use is for PvP, and even then, you probably only want to use it out of combat, because of just how slow it is to place on the ground. But it's interesting, I'll give it that. At level 20, we automatically learn Commissylvia Slash. This is a protected CC that you can charge for more damage. It offers a knockdown while protected by forward guard, and this is the second of 3 skills that I'm going to reset at level 55 before I hit level 56. While in pre-awakening, I'm going to spam the skill off cooldown for the damage while grinding, because it is a lot of damage. But after level 56 with awakening skills, we have so many options. I would only really get the skill as a protected bait to bait an opponent into a knockdown for PvP, because it is protected. Oh, and we're still level 20, so I'm going to upgrade Hidden Strike. Automatically unlocked at level 21, we have Enforcement. This skill is unprotected, but one of our best filler skills. Enforcement offers a stiffness, while its flow unlocks level 24, called Termination, offers a float. Enforcement with the flow is a perfect combo extender in PvP, and actually does decent damage as a filler in PvE. So altogether, it's a pretty good skill. By this point in the game, we have access to enough skills to where we don't really need to spam anything anymore. Even our filler skills are more effective when used off cooldown instead of on cooldown. At level 22, we automatically get Obsidian Ashes. This is a ranged attack that can bind an opponent, which sounds really cool on paper, except for the fact that it's extremely slow and does very little damage. It would be funny to use this, however, from a cliff or mountain, but doesn't really have much use for anything else. Also at level 22, we can upgrade Airstrike and Smoky Haze. At level 24, we get our Flow Termination for Enforcement, which I talked about earlier, but basically extends the skill, gives you a float, super nice. Level 25, automatically unlocked, we have Corrupt Ground. This skill, while unprotected, can give a stun on good hits and also gives back a lot of MP. For now, it can be used off cooldown at these low levels for a lot of damage. But this is also the third of 3 skills that I would reset at level 55 before leveling to 56. There just seems to be no reason to ever use a skill after level 56 unless you refuse to use potions. It just doesn't scale well. At level 26, automatically unlocked, Wheel of Fortune. One of our heaviest hitting pre-awakening skills. Protected with super armor and blessed with the CC of floating. With this skill, you can quite literally spin to win. Also, it's a good idea to get used to using Wheel of Fortune on a quick slot because using it with a quick slot is the only way to activate the skill in Awakening. And we're going to upgrade Dusk. At level 28, we can upgrade Enforcement. At level 29, we can upgrade Pervasive Darkness. At level 30, we can upgrade Unveil Dagger and Corrupt Ground. At level 32, let's upgrade Wheel of Fortune and Commissylvia Slash. At level 33, we can upgrade Hidden Strike, but I did have to reset one passive to get one more skill point to actually get this. At level 35, we learn our other heaviest hitting pre-awakening attack, which can also be used in Awakening through the use of a quick slot and is also a protected CC, called Lunacy of Vetter. Although the skill is protected with super armor, it has a bound for a CC, and Lunacy of Vetter is also our 100% Black Spirit's Rage skill, or our ulti. Instead of using your Black Spirit's Rage on the ultimate version of Lunacy of Vetter, it's recommended to lock your Black Spirit's Rage and to absorb it, giving you a buff, and you also have two options for that, either AP or attack speed. At level 36, we can upgrade Corrupt Ground and Enforcement. And to do so, I actually took skill points out of Hidden Strike, because I felt like at this point of the game, I don't really need this skill now that I have all these other skills. At level 38, I'm going to sacrifice Corrupt Ground because I don't find it useful anymore, and that gives me enough skill points to upgrade Wheel of Fortune. At level 39, let's upgrade Airstrike. At level 42, we could learn Nocturne. This is another skill that's only really useful in PvP, but even if you don't PvP, you can use it to avoid someone trying to PvP you. It allows you to disappear and either appear behind your target or dash backwards from the camera. Because you can't even PvP until level 50, for the skill build of essential skills, I'm not going to unlock it. But if you do PvP, I highly recommend this skill. Like Wheel of Fortune and the Lunacy of Vetter, you can also use Nocturne in Awakening through the use of a quick slot. However, at level 42, we can upgrade Commissylvia Slash, and we finally get Chain Dusk, our second side dash. At level 44, because I only really need the buff from Unveil Dagger and no longer the damage, because I have plenty of other skills that do damage, I'm going to sacrifice this to upgrade Wheel of Fortune. At level 45, if I had enough skill points, I would upgrade Enforcement, Pervasive Darkness, and Smoky Haze. But because I don't want to sacrifice anything else, and if I had to choose one, I'd upgrade Smoky Haze. I'll be upgrading these other two as I get more skill points. I have made it to level 47, and I have upgraded Enforcement and Pervasive Darkness. But the very last upgrades are actually at level 51 and 52. At level 51, you can unlock Ultimate Enforcement. At level 52, you can unlock the final upgrade of Commissylvia Slash and Wheel of Fortune. Beyond that, you want to get all of your passives, maybe unlock a few PvP skills, and then prepare for Awakening. I ended up having to reset most of my passives up to this point to unlock other skills, but they should be very easy to max past level 52. Linked in the description below will be a few level 52 skill builds based on this video. I think that's about everything. Like this video if it helped, comment below what you want to see next, and subscribe for more. I livestream Dark Knight gameplay almost every week over on twitch.tv/Rinku Talks. Feel free to stop by and ask me anything. I love you, and I'll see you next time.